Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I hope that you all are fine, happy and fresh. This is your science teacher Muhammad Mashgud Khan, and we are discussing chapter number 3, that is energy resources. Before I start today's lecture, I will like to recall the previous knowledge first. In the last lecture we have discussed about nuclear power, its advantages and disadvantages. So we discussed about the nuclear power, that it is a clean and efficient way of boiling water to make steam, which turn turbines to produce electricity, and the nuclear power plants use low enriched uranium fuel to produce electricity through a process called fission, in which the splitting of uranium atoms is being done in a nuclear reactor. So basically this is what is all about the nuclear power briefly. Then we discussed about the advantages of it, that the biggest advantages of the nuclear power station is that they do not produce any smoke, they do not releases any carbon dioxide, they do not have any waste product in a very huge amount. So these are all the benefits or the advantages of the nuclear power station. The disadvantages of the nuclear power station is that it's very highly risky in terms of in a way that, like, the waste product, although it's very less in quantity, but it is extremely dangerous. So the waste of the nuclear power station shall be properly buried till the radiation is completely dead. So this is the disadvantage. And also as it releases enormous amount of heat energy, so it needs a lot of precautions to set up a nuclear power station. So this is all about the previous lecture. Now in today's lecture we are going to discuss about the solar power. Now solar power, solar cells really called the photovoltaic or the photoelectric cells, which converts light directly into electricity. So in a sunny climate you can get enough power to run a 100-watt light bulb from just 1 square meter of solar power, a solar panel. So basically the solar power is the one in which we can generate the electricity through the sunlight, and these solar cells are really called these photovoltaic or the photoelectric cells, and which converts the light directly into the electricity. Now what happens actually, that in you will study about the solar power in the higher classes, that the solar panel is made up of germanium or silicon, which is a semiconductor material. So this is what you are going to study in the higher classes, but up to your level you have to understand only that these solar panels are used, in which there are solar cells or photoelectric cells or photovoltaic cells, which directly converts the sunlight into electrical energy. And one solar panel, which is about 1 square meter, can easily produce 100 volt, can easily run 100-watt light bulb. So this is some basic information about the solar power. Now advantages of solar power. Solar energy is free, it needs no fuel and produces no waste or pollution. In sunny countries, solar power can be used where there is no easy way to get electricity to a remote place. Handy for low power uses such as solar powered garden lights and battery chargers. So there are a lot of advantages of solar power station. Like, the solar power energy is first of all free. You don't need any fuel, and it produces no waste, and it does not causes any pollution. Like in as we discussed in the burning of fossil fuels, the carbon dioxide was released, or we discussed that when we burn all fossil fuel, whatever we burn, it causes pollution. And then we discussed about the nuclear power station, that the remaining or the waste product, which is also, although it is very less in quantity, but still it's very dangerous in terms of, like, the radiation come out of the waste product of the waste material, which is coming from the nuclear power station. It still has radiation, so it need to be buried properly till the radiation is dead. So you see, there are the disadvantages of that also, disadvantages of the remains of the fossil fuels also, and all the nuclear power station also, but there is no waste or that can cause the pollution or that can harm the life. So this is the biggest advantage of it. Now in sunny countries, the solar power can be used very efficiently, and they can get electricity even to remote places where they cannot uh, give the electricity by wires, so they can easily produce they can set up their own solar power station, and they can generate their own electricity by setting up the solar panels. And it's very handy for the low power uses, such as the solar powered garden lights and battery chargers. So like in gardens we have lights which are very low in like they consume very little amount of energy, so solar power can lit up all those lights with the small little batteries. So at the daytime these batteries will be charged by the sunlight, and at night they can give us energy. So these are some of the advantages of the solar power stations or solar powers. Now coming towards the disadvantages of to solar power, that it does not work at night, and they are very expensive to build power stations. To build the solar power stations, the solar cells cost a great deal compared to the amount of electricity they will produce in their lifetime, and can be unreliable unless you are in a very sunny climate. So these are some disadvantages, that the biggest disadvantage of the solar panel is that they does not work at night. Like they need sunlight, they can convert sunlight into electrical energy, so at night obviously there is no sunlight, so they cannot work. This is the biggest disadvantage. Then second disadvantage is that they are very expensive. The ordinary, like it cannot be used in the grassroots level, or the ordinary people cannot afford even it. So it is not easy to set up the solar power station in terms of expenses. And the third one is that it is extremely unreliable, and or you can say that it is only reliable in those places where there is a sunny climate. If there is a region or a country or a place which is having a mixture of climate, like sometimes sunny, sometimes cloudy, so in the cloudy days it will not work. It will only work properly when there will be a complete sunshine. So they are highly reliable, but only in the sunny climate, not in the climate in which there are a lot of clouds. The next question is the question which arises: is solar power renewable? So the answer of the question is yes, solar power is renewable source of energy. So the sun will keep on shining anyway, so it makes sense to use it. So this was a little question. So summarizing it up, that what we have studied so far in this lecture is all about the solar power. That solar power are the one in which we can directly produce the electricity from the sun, and there is a solar panel which performs this activity, that it takes the sunlight and it converts the sunlight into electrical energy. And in this solar panel the small cells are used, which is called the photoelectric cells, or we call it as the solar cells or photovoltaic. And 1 square meter of it can easily produce 100, it can lit up 100-watt bulb. And then we discussed about the advantages of it, that solar energy is free, it does not need any fuel and produces no waste. And the biggest advantage of it is that in sunny countries the solar power can be used where there is no easy way to get electricity to remote places. So even those places which are very remote can easily produce their own electricity. Then we discussed about the disadvantages of it. So the biggest disadvantage of it, the solar power, is that it does not work at night and it is very expensive. And also it is not reliable in those regions or places where the climate is cloudy, sometimes cloudy, sometimes sunny. So in the cloudy time it will not work properly, but in the sunny areas or the places which are completely sunny will work. So this is what what today's lecture is all about. I hope that you have learned it all, and if